as promised, I was going to go over the trip model of goals during conflict. So you have, it's called the trip model. You have T for topic, you have R for your relational goals, you have I as identity goals, and you have P, which is the process goals. I'll go ahead and go from left to right. From what I've experienced during theory development is there are a lot of different conflicts that take place when this kind of insight is being brought to light. You have your topic goal. That's the easy part. Topic goals are usually on the surface. Basically, it means what does each person want? Now, topic-wise, for a new theory, it would be, say, I would want a new theory to be out there and to be told by people. And the people who have the contracts to the textbook companies and whatnot, they would want to have control over what information gets published in those textbooks. So anybody from outside of their little contractual agreements, outside of their little in-groups, don't really get a say, but more on that later. But the topic is easily seen and talked about. That's why I can post this online everywhere. I can tell people what's going on, why the Kepler data has been pulling up planets all different sizes, and even the WISE telescope, when it pulls up the infrared sources, which are the brown dwarfs and whatnot. I can post this all over the internet. It's easily seen and talked about. We know what the problems are topic-wise, so check on that. It's categorized as objective, meaning there's no feelings involved when it comes to understanding planet formation, understanding stellar evolution. It's really, really objective. There's no ambiguity there. But what's actually happening is that there are feelings still infused into the topic. When you have somebody's feelings being infused inside of a topic that's supposed to be objective, it becomes subjective. It's a subjective thing. So the truth is that we have topics that are subjective. What does each person want? Obviously, that is always a subjective thing. It's always very, very strongly opinionated kind of thing. And that's why astronomers and astrophysicists and geophysicists and whatnot, they are so well absorbed inside of the feelings, how they feel about what it is that they feel they know, they think they know. So that's that. And basically, they love their positions of authority, okay? Their perception is that there is not enough authority to go around, which is perceivingly a scarce resource. They are happy inside the fact that they get to be the editors of journals, they get to be the professors that have these tenured positions at universities, they get to use the big telescopes. They love their feelings of authority, power, and control over others thoughts, over others' ways of looking at things. And the scarce resource there is authority, which is really, really strange. And if anybody were to challenge that authority, their perception would be, well, I don't want any of my scarce resource, which is authority, to be challenged, so I'm going to always make sure that happens, that I ignore any type of new idea that comes out that I find threatening to my position of authority. As well, this is one part of the entire conflict, okay? It's not only about the topic at hand, meaning you can be completely correct about something, but the goal isn't just about the topic at hand. In many, many cases, the goal is completely different, and that's what you'll find out that's what I've been finding out during stellar or development of a new stellar evolutionary model and plant formation model. I should say worldview, because that's what it is. It's bigger than a theory, it's bigger than a model, it's an entirely different worldview. But anyways, to R. Now, R is the relational goals are we in relation to each other? Who am I in relation to an astrophysicist? I'm nothing. I'm a crank, okay? I'm a crackpot. I'm a nobody, okay? But this is important, okay? These kind of goals will determine the amount of interdependence people want from each other. Meaning, usually inside of conflicts, you have two people that get something out of it. So how dependent are you on one another for your goals? Being that the people up here have all the money, power, control, they're not interdependent upon me. But it's beginning to change, because as long as I can plant a seed inside of other people's minds, make them look at things differently, I am challenging their authority. Meaning, they're going to have to do one day, they're going to have to look on the internet and find out that their theories have been obsoleted a while ago, and that's going to be a huge source of conflict, because then they have to determine how interdependent they are on the public's perception. Now, they can just make up whatever they want, they can say whatever they want, and the public has to suck down the information as if it's factual and we don't have any say in it. But that's all going to change. How to define themselves as a unit, okay? That's a big part of getting a graduate degree. If you work with other graduate students or professors or whatnot, or researchers, they like to define themselves as a unit, as being peers in a peer type system where they're all supposedly on equal grounds. Nobody is missing out because we're all publishing in the same journal, we're all doing the same thing, we all have around the same amount of money coming in, and we all think about things the same way. So there's that box type mentality, and that's how they define themselves. But to people who are outside of that, I'm not really a unit with these people, because I'm completely separate from them. It says here, people can disagree deeply about who they are in relation to each other. That's a huge thing. If you make a great discovery and you're in the public and you want to tell these astronomers and astrophysicists what's going on, who you are in relation to them is a big, big problem, because here I am with a major discovery and I want to share it with these astronomers, but we disagree about who we are in relation to each other. They think I'm just a crank, and I think they're idiots. So, to each his own. And how much influence do you want the other to have, and vice versa? Well, I don't believe it's good to have too much influence in a specific field and dominate that field, because you have a monopoly on people's minds. When you can't have new ideas come out into the open because of the peer review system and of blacklisting scientists from publishing in articles, you essentially prevent the process of scientific inquiry. So you have to wonder, how much influence do you want these astronomers to have when they're going about things in a very, fascist way, if you will. If that word even applies. And conflicts are interpreted differently by each participant. Of course, that's the lens model. You have a person over here, and you have a person over here, and you think that the words coming out of your mouth go directly to them, and then they go directly to you. No, that's not true at all. You have your lens, and they have their lens, and they perceive you differently than you perceive them. So you have to there's this middle no man's land where you have to remember that both of your perspectives are going to be a bit different. Onwards. I, in the trip model, means identity. Who am I in this particular interaction? Okay. Establishing perceived level of education to classify others, yourself. I get this a lot. When I talk to people, they're like, well, what degree do you have? Or how long have you been studying this? Or what school did you go to? They have to set themselves inside of a kind of hierarchy, if you will, to make sure that they're not going to be wasting their time, or that they want you to realize that they have this huge degree they spend so much time on. But truth is, the perceived level of education in my specific instance is a bit irrelevant because it's a discovery, it's an accidental thing, but more on that later. How can my self-identity be protected or repaired in this particular conflict? Now, this is a major issue. Self-identity. When you have somebody that spends so many years in a PhD program or a master's program, or they spend so much time looking through telescopes and interacting with people who have the same perceived understanding of the world, their identity is incredibly important. They always want to manage to try to save face with each other if a conflict arises because they all want to get along with each other. Meaning, what that does is if the conflict escalates, they go to overly face-saving behavior that can hide the issues. And that's really bad because if you're constantly trying to make someone else look good and everything they learned is wrong, or a lot of what they learned is wrong, how do you save their identity? Because they spent so many years studying one specific thing, yet here we are realizing that it's all been nothing. It didn't have a foundation at all. So basically, it goes in either direction. As a conflict escalates, parties can switch to more face-saving or face-damaging behavior. Unfortunately, what's going to be happening in the astronomy departments is that there's going to have to be some face-damaging behavior here. Face-saving doesn't always work because it buries the issues, it hides the issues. You take more of a, not a collaborative way of conflicting with each other or aggressive, but avoidant. Their conflict style is very avoidant. That's how astronomers and astrophysicists communicate with each other. They avoid conflict as much as they can because bringing the issues to light would be putting on the table and people's careers would be messed up, and you don't want to do that when you work inside of those large groups. You're always going to want to save face, but that doesn't ever fix things. You have to put everything out on the table. But anyways, you got all those. And the last goal during a major conflict or a minor conflict is process. What communication process would work best? Remember when Pluto got demoted? They chose voting because consensus is where everybody agrees. And in the case of Pluto, not everybody was going to agree as to what Pluto was. So this is everybody agreeing, this is voting. A lot of research grants are determined by committees. There's high power deciders, so you have, say, like a CEO of a company deciding to do one thing, or some type of person who has a lot of power and control can make the decision. There's no voting or consensus involved. There's giving each person equal talk time, meaning listening to them and seeing what they have to say concerning the matter. This is what astronomers, they don't like to do this with the public because they feel as if the public is clueless concerning what it is that they study, so they just ignore this. And they also ignore people who are not in their group. They actually do this. And mediation, that's if two parties are really interpersonal, they're really close with one another, like with divorces and things like that. And you have talking informally before deciding. That's done with a lot of conflicts, but basically, here you go. That's it in a nutshell. Hopefully, this room and its echoing doesn't really bother people too much, and hopefully you guys can see what I'm writing. I just got a new camera here. Hopefully, it's high quality enough for you to see it. All right, yeah. Today is February 6th, 2016.